Hello, and welcome to the Joy of Connection podcast. And I'm so happy to see you here tonight. Oh my God. Let me tell you, England, we've been having some interesting weather. It's the middle of May and it's been raining, and more rain. But hey, we're here. We're going to have a good time tonight. So let's not worry about it. So a lot of things have been going on, but I want to talk about the most important thing that's happening this week. And it's my birthday. I just thought I'd give a shout out. It's my birthday tomorrow, not today, but I figured I'd just throw that in there anyway. So for me, it's the most important thing that's happened this week. I can't speak for anybody else. But yeah, there's lots going on, lots to talk about tonight. And I'm bringing somebody really special on tonight because we'll talk more about where we met and how we met and all that good stuff. But as you all know, I love to exercise. I do weights and all this good stuff, and I dance. But my favorite pastime when I lived in New York was yoga. And this woman helped to make it even greater. So without further ado, I'm going to bring onto the stage. Let's call it the stage. Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Hey.
I want to go backstage again because that music, it made me feel like we were salsa dancing as we used to.
That's right.
Get that shoulder roll. Woo.
Yeah, you got it, girl. How are you?
Oh, I couldn't be any better unless I were twins. Everything is just twice as nice, twice as fun. My birthday month, I'm going to extend it one day so that we can have together an overlap. So happy birthday. I'm so glad you were born. And just thanks for having me on today.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. And getting a few happy birthdays here and a hi, Nicole. So, so tell me or tell us or tell them where you're from and where you live. And that can encompass places you've lived as well, or where your family's from, anything that you relevant.
I am currently in Dallas, Texas. I was born in Washington, D.C. I spent my formative years in New York, in Brooklyn, and in Manhattan, where I was litigating for the city of New York. Before that, I went to law school in New Orleans and was working even as a journalist for the New Orleans Tribune. I did some time in Boston. I did some time in Madrid. So I think of myself as a citizen of the world, and I enjoy the connections that I make all over. So some people collect, little shot glasses or spoons. I'm blessed enough to connect and collect friends. I collected you from Manhattan. And then, we know each other through Kim Baxter. And then when you came down here to Dallas, you introduced me to some of your friends. And we really create a globe-trotting community. It's so much fun.
It's so much fun. And so, okay, I was going to ask you how we connected. You said it. We have a mutual friend, Kim, who introduced me to you. And I always say to her, I stole your friend, by the way. I
That's
stole your
right.
friend. So she may be listening in, so she might comment on it. But it's been a pleasure. And, I want to talk all about the litigation and all that great stuff. But before we get to that, I want to know, because our show is really about self-love and self-care. So what do you do? I mean, you teach yoga at the moment, and we'll get into that further. And you do that to enhance and give other people self-care in their lives. But what does Nicole do for Nicole?
I have worked for years with a coach, and I had a great session even with you the other day. And coaching is something that I do for myself. Anybody out there who hasn't had a session with Michelle, you have to try it. It's amazing. I got so much clarity even in that moment. And the coach that I've worked with is my help of self-love. When you have only one little crayon, everything you color is going to be blue. But if you have a whole box of crayons with the pink, the violet, the fuchsia, the gray, you can create for your world a colorscape that is so much richer. And for me, when I talk to others who can help me see my blind spots, that's really how I work in part of my self-care. And one of the edicts of the situation in which I am also coached says, treat yourself like a precious jewel because it will make you strong. Right? You can't give what you don't have. So there's a difference between digging a well and filling a well. So you might do self-education to get smarter in your craft, but what do you do filling that well? So it would be salsa dancing for me. It would be meditation. I love to cook. I love to listen to music. I love to connect with old friends. And even just the other day, talking to you for that amount of time, it was like I got an enhanced energy boost. So those are the ways that I really do self-care.
I love that. That's great. That's a lot of good ways. Please tell me about that jewel again. I got to hear that part again. I got to write that.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we treat ourselves like a precious jewel, it makes us stronger. And it's only when you take care of yourself, put your own oxygen mask on, so to speak, that you can help others, right? And then if you think of a precious jewel, do you ever see a diamond set in tinfoil?
That's right.
No, you don't. It's platinum. It's some beautiful gold. It is some setting that is befitting that jewel. So then you look around, how are your environments? Is your house feng shuied? How are the clothes that touch your back? How are the foods that you eat? What is the media content that you consume? So it's really yourself, treating yourself 360 degrees of just love. It's and I learned that so much from you when you tell me you're doing your training, you've been doing also your dancing. I mean, that is just, I'm stealing that from your playlist.
I love that. All right, I'll steal one from yours and you steal one from mine.
Very good.
Let's talk about being a litigator. And for those of you, because I've got viewers in Europe and obviously in the UK and obviously in the US, but the word litigator isn't very familiar or isn't always used in the UK. So it's a lawyer, but is it a specific kind of law that you're practicing when you're being a litigator?
All lawyers are capable of going to court. Many do not. Many lawyers spend their time writing briefs or filing like an intellectual property, something for an online startup. You can help a contract for entertainment law. So a litigator is someone who goes to court and represents a client in front of a judge.
Okay, okay. So I can only imagine. I mean, you're very smart, you're very witty, you're very sassy. Hopefully, they'll get to see a bit of that tonight. And so, at what point did things change when you decided, I don't want to do this anymore? This isn't me? Or, I mean, did you just wake up one morning? Had you been feeling it all the way through law school? Walk us through that,
I
please.
I do feel for the generation that has just come through the formative years of high school, trying to graduate now, or of college, trying to graduate now. There's a sense of stolen time all around the world. Mm-hmm. And when people are put in that kind of compression, the decisions that they make might not be as in alignment with what they want. So when I came out of undergrad, I got confused about what my family, what society, what looked like a safe job, a good job, a steady job. So with an English degree from the University of Pennsylvania, oh, you should go to law school. And you know how you hear those little voices? Don't do it. Don't do it. I ignored that voice. So let me just say, if you hear a little voice, as long as it tells you something that you feel like is in alignment, and that's not the little voice that says, eat that donut and then eat 5 more. That's not the voice. And it's not that one, call that guy up because you already called him and no, it's not that voice either. It's the voice that's in your soul when you get quiet in your moments of being in communion with your heart. It's that voice. And it's so quiet and so soft. It's much more a whisper. So that voice was like, maybe this is not a good idea. I ignored it. And I plowed through law school, finished, took the New York bar, got a job for the city of New York. And then my caseload was so voluminous. I started to get stressed out. And we now know that stress is the killer. Yes, it's crazy. So I got more stressed. And then I said, you know what? It's either my stomach or the law career, because I started to get so sick, so stressed out. When I would go to court, I took on the woes and the anxiety of my clients. That's another thing I think with women and men, some men too. If you're very empathic and you want to help everybody, your boundaries, you might think you're doing something good by taking on someone else's burden. And that's also not treating yourself like a precious jewel. So I was taking my work home, literally ingesting it, and it was making me very sick. We have now the Me Too movement, but back then I was complaining to my supervisor, this attorney was inappropriate, or I'm in this negotiations underneath the desk where nobody can see, there's a hand on my thigh, or there's something going on that's just not okay. Right. And back then I would say, this is happening. She would say, he does it to me too. He does it to me too. And so, and this was like opposing counsel. This was nobody on the city side. But you can imagine when you have a stomach that's trying to process stress, performance for your job, show up really good for your clients. Absolutely. And then also just the average day-to-day, do the laundry, clear, so it was a cascade of just events. And my stomach couldn't take it. It looked like I was either having irritable bowel or Crohn's disease. Something looked very wrong. So I had a battery of tests. They couldn't find anything. But all along, I had been doing yoga. Since about 30 years ago, my mom and I did our first yoga class. And that was on a video. People, you don't know what a video is. It's like this clunky VHS. You shove it in, you watch it. It was back in the day. And my life as a yogini, that's the word for a woman who does yoga. A yogi is a man who does yoga. A yogini is a woman. So as a yogini, I kept growing simultaneously as I was litigating. And so when that yogini, that other persona, was looking eye to eye. It was like a standoff. The yogini won. And I quit law. I stopped having those stomach problems, and I built up my business. And now I make more money teaching yoga, doing what I love than I ever made as a litigator.
Wow.
It's fabulous.
It is. Doing what you love.
Doing what you love. And
Goodness.
yeah.
That is amazing. So while that's all great, what did everybody else have to say? Because as we know, society likes to dictate, our families dictate, our friends. And there's something to be said as a parent when you can turn around and say, oh, my daughter's a lawyer.
Yes.
Or, oh, my daughter's a doctor. Or, oh, can't believe this is happening. So how did that work with your family?
Well, one step, I think it's the Chinese proverb, one step in the right direction is worth 1,000 steps in the wrong direction. So think of the time, the money, the student loans.
Right.
That was like, you want to do what?
Exactly.
That was a shock. And with parents, the boundaries that we describe can be blurred. So you can live out a dream of your mother, your father, your grandmother. My dad, everybody wanted him to be a doctor. So he went ahead and he was a physician. But you look at him and his hands are magnificent. He plays the piano. He probably would have loved to be a pianist. And each one of us carries the residue of an ancestral dream, so to speak. And especially as part of the African diaspora, a woman of color in the United States, it's, I tried to explain it. It hasn't been that long since I was the subject of a contract. In my aunt's kitchen, there's a bill of lading for the sale of a slave. Wow. And you think of the way that was a transaction,
Right.
And so the law has not been created for demographics. It has not honored, it has not supported, not sustained. So I do feel that being a lawyer is an honorable, important, necessary profession, especially for people who don't look like the ones who wrote the law, right? So it's important to show up. And I feel that I did my time. I practiced law for over a decade, maybe like 13 years. And I got the benefit and I got the knowledge, and nobody can take that away from me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And but a lot of people don't know. They think, oh, you speak so softly. You're so, you seem so calm. And I was like, but you did not see me litigate.
I don't think they just don't see you angry. What about litigating?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Like, what happened to Nicole? Where did she go?
Exactly.
That's right. Don't make any mistakes.
That's right.
I love that. I love that. So were you able to did you have to massage them a little bit and explain, or was it just like, this is my decision and I just hope you're going to support me on this next journey?
The good news was my mom loves yoga, and she had been doing yoga with me all this time. And even at 78, even during the pandemic, she takes almost 3 to 4 classes a week.
All right.
And she's so cute. You might see her on the video and people might think, why is she yelling at Joan? Why is she yelling at Joan? Please don't do that. Oh, Joan. Okay, come on, get in the pose. Joan is my mom, everybody. So she doesn't let me call her mom in class, but that is my mom. So when you see me yelling at one student over and over again, that's mom.
That's mom, right?
So when I wanted to stop litigating and I had to make some hard, fast choices, I left New York, a city that I love.
Yes.
And I moved to Dallas, a city that is not as resonant for the type of quick, urbane, even when I came home, I would walk really fast. And my mom said, we don't walk fast here. You got to slow down. We don't talk fast. And I'm always like,
Yeah.
right? Going quickly. And so I kind of stole from Peter to pay Paul. I was like, okay, I'll come home as long as you understand that I'm going to pursue my dreams. And I had to work slowly to make my income stream high enough to leave. You know, at the time I came back here, I was helping my father run his ophthalmology practice. I got that ramped up, and then I leapt over and just did yoga full time. So I integrated, I was teaching 5 classes, working full time, 10 classes, and then I would just lace it in until finally I got enough clients to be able to make it full time. And it's been a real joy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. So, I've got so much to ask you, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the research I was doing. So I was looking at some of your videos and the things that you do, and I saw you doing something called walk-in meditation.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted to know why. Well, I know a bit about walk-in meditation. I don't know a lot, but I do know a little bit, but maybe the audience doesn't know anything about it. So can you tell us a bit about walk-in meditation? What is that? I mean, you could be walking around aimlessly and just looking for something, right? And you could be walking with purpose or intention, as you sort of said. So tell us a little bit about what that is and why one would do that.
Well, mindfulness is the practice of doing one thing at a time. We multitask and we think that that is effective. Multitasking is nothing but switching from one thing to the other, and then you have to go back. So it's not like I'm doing this and in the background I'm still focusing on that call. No, it's that your brain can really only monotask, right? So when you walk, it's the idea that you put your consciousness in the feel of your foot striking the pavement, in the feel of the sun on your face, in the smell of the flowers that you're walking by. You become so present that time stands still and you achieve what is called a flow state. So you're in the moment where you are so in your body, in yourself, in that time, and you just happen to be walking. So you can meditate sitting still. You can meditate with an app on your iPhone, or you can leave all of that behind, go out into the world, and you start to focus on how you step and you walk. Now, you keep your shoulders back, you breathe, and with every step you say, placing, 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 or you can stay in the here, in the now, in the here, in the now. So much of us is thinking about what we have to do tomorrow or what we didn't do yesterday.
Absolutely.
And yes, and the joy of just being in your body. During the pandemic, it has been so crucial to get outside. And as much as I enjoy Zoom and teaching my students on Zoom, getting outside, getting some sunshine, getting some vitamin D, or walking with it carefully around. And you want to have a runway of sidewalk, or be sure that you know where your foot is hitting. So it's not for you to walk with your head back, but you kind of keep your eyes on the horizon so that you can both see what's in front of you. But it's not walking like this. And guess what? It's not walking like this.
Yeah.
How many times do you see people walking like?
All day, all day.
Why? You're getting your neck is bent forward, your head is craning the vertebrae. When you stack your head over your shoulders, take your shoulders back, breathe, and then walk. It helps your lungs. It helps your immune system. It gives you a sense of balance, and it is healthy for the brain. So walking meditation, I would love for everyone to try it. It's so easy. So easy.
Well, I think we have a little video that we can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's roll that and let people get a real sense of what that looks like.
stepping, placing, stepping, placing, stepping, placing, stepping, placing, in the here, in the now, in the here, in the now, in the here, in the now, in the here, in the now. You might think I'm walking. I'm not. I'm actually meditating. Walking meditation is a great way for you to take your meditation out of the yoga studio or out of your house or wherever you've set up your meditation cushion, and to take your meditation outside, to walk in the world. When you walk, you breathe and you focus, your mind is saying, stepping when the left foot steps, or placing when the right foot steps. I'm here to teach you how to walk and meditate. My name is Nicole Payseur, also known as the Yoga Diva. Come on and let's get started. Again, walking meditation is a casual way to move through the world with a mindful intention on the placement of the feet. Do you have to walk very stiff and stilted? No. You can relax and let your arms swing from side to side in a very soft, melting shoulders manner. Do you have to walk with your chest up as if you're on the catwalk? No. You can let your gaze be right in front of you such that you don't trip or run into a passerby. But all the while, you're just walking, breathing, placing each step, and your mind is in each step. In the here, you're stepping. In the now, you're stepping. In the here, you're stepping. In the now, you're stepping. Or focus.
I don't know, did we stop or?
I guess it stopped. Well, that's good. They got a taste of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so impressive. And where were you? It was so green and lush. Beautiful.
You know, Dallas has a rainy season, and that was at the height of it last year before, you know, right in the early stages of the shutdown. And I went to a park and I was just walking and breathing and moving at a park near my house. And my nephew, who is about to graduate, go Luke, he took that video for me.
Oh.
And we just went to a park and it started to rain. And it was so funny because, you know, when you're brown, people say, oh, brown sugar. I said, well, yes, but brown sugar can melt in the rain. So let me just get on out of here. But, you know, you want to be playful. You want to think of yourself as in an environed organism. Like you're not just an organism inside. You need to go out and be in nature if you can, be in the grass, be in trees, because what we know now about depression is that just seeing greenery, just getting in the trees, just sitting on a park bench, that will give you such a boost in endorphins, in the way that you process. We're not meant to be far from nature, and yet we created these artificial habitats. And so walking outside, especially it could be raining, it could be snowing, it could be, you know, kind of chilly, it could be any season. Put on your rain slicker, put on your mittens, get outside and just walk. That's what I would say.
Okay, that was just so beautiful to watch. I loved it. I loved it.
Glad. And
some of the audience members are saying, one of our audience, Charlene, said, I love that. I call it mindful walking, and it's great. And Joanne also said, I love it. I'm massively into breath work and mindfulness, so this is brilliant. Wow. So you know, you've already got some fans who already know about it.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I mean, I know of it, but I've never really sort of seen anyone do it. So that was really good to see. So,
but I have to check you. I have seen you do it, but you did it in a sassy way, walking down the street in New York. Now, there's a verb called boulevardier, and that's when you actually take the boulevards. And so I'm going to just tell on you to all of your people, she would put on, I mean, she owned that sidewalk. She would just walk. Nobody could tell her anything. That's Michelle. She was like, yes, 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 yes. And it's so good to see a woman walking in her power, men too, but women who walk in your power with your head up, shoulders back, with a sense of purpose in the world. That makes you less attractive for someone who wants to do harm, right? So when you walk, I don't want you guys to walk so much that you are spacing out and you don't see you need to have kind of your peripheral vision, I don't want you walking late at night, I want you to be in the world and aware and still be mindful. So let me put that caveat, because when I watch Michelle walk, that is an art. It's an art.
Well, thank you. I'll take that. And speaking of art, you are the artist of yoga. So, I've been back in England 10 years now. And, I took classes in Brooklyn when you left New York. And, I came to Dallas and took some private classes.
Yes.
Like, I need some.
So fun.
I need some Yoga Diva. But I have to tell you, it's been a tough journey. There's yet to be another Nicole. And everyone get measures. You're the litmus test that they all get measured by.
Oh, thank you.
I've had some really good teachers, but I've not had another Nicole. So I wanted to say and let the audience know that she teaches with her own je ne sais quoi. That's the only way I can describe it. She's sassy, she's funny. And when you think, she had me doing I think it was a headstand one day, and I was wobbling, and she was like, oh no, miss, whatever you called me that day. And she just made me get straight, and the legs were up, and I didn't think I could do it, but she made me believe I could do it. And so that is one of the things that I love about the way you teach, and if somebody's not doing it, well, okay, you don't have to do this. And then she was doing a yoga teacher training, an intro to see if people were interested. And I decided, I'm going to go on this. So, because it's something that I've always wanted to do. And then this is what's crazy about it. So we get in the class and I'm on the floor, and this is all online, by the way. This is during the pandemic. And all of a sudden she says, okay, I'm going to show you a sequence. So she does the sequence, which is what is it called? Is it the sun salutation sequence?
Yes.
Sun salutation sequence. And I'm thinking, I wonder why that's kind of basic. Okay, whatever. And then she says, right, so now you're all going to teach it individually. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe we're going to get some notes and then we'll go away and practice. And she was like, okay, you're up. And you're kind of like, me, I'm up next. Yeah. And so she got us doing it. And that's what I'm saying, is that there's something about you that just makes other people believe that they can do what they need to do. You do it so well. Now, I wanted to bring up a picture or even a video of you teaching in the class, and I didn't get to do that. So bad on me. But what I want to talk about is what it's been like teaching online, because you're so interactive, you're so hands-on. You know what you do great that I really miss here is you really tweak people. You'll basically just sort of say, okay, let's just turn that butt slightly. And then you can kind of like, I feel that position. I know where I'm supposed to be. Or you'll say, all right, just pull that arm just gently around, and and then you're like, yeah, I'm feeling it. And then you'll just come along and tap it slightly. And then you're like, oh, now I feel it.
Yeah.
I love that about you. I don't think enough people here that I've experienced adjust in that way. But it's based on my experience. I'm sure other people might have had a good experience, but mine has been okay. It hasn't been amazing like it's been with you. And so I wanted to know, when you're teaching online, how has that felt? I mean, has it been frustrating? Has it been difficult? I'm sure it's been difficult, but how's it been feeling for you as somebody who's used to having that hands-on?
Well, I was very lucky when everything shut down. I was studying with a woman whose name is Francesca Shaviro, and she teaches a a workshop called The Art of the Science of the Private Yoga. And she pushed us. Things shut down. The next day she said, everybody get a Zoom account. Everybody get online. Everybody start. And we were like, what? No, we were all scared. And she pushed us out there. So I was lucky enough to be studying with someone. And that's why I say, stick with people who are going to take you somewhere higher. You know, if you are with someone who is taking you down or not in alignment, carefully extricate yourself from that person, because during the pandemic, there was a group of people who embraced Zoom, dove into it. We were in it. Then there were a lot of other people who shied away from it. They were worried. They were scared. They didn't understand. Has it been perfect? No. But how else could I, doing a yoga teacher training workshop, have Michelle attend?
Right.
Like, that was just a beautiful thing right there. She's in London, I'm in Dallas. That's an A++. I teach differently than most people on Zoom because I am like, I don't know if you guys saw The Incredibles, but whichever the designer who was like, hey, get your, you know, like I get up in there and I start yelling. Or then I get like, I'm like, it's almost like, okay, get from behind the couch. I see you, and get back in frame. And then the other thing too, I use them to do my job. So I'll say, okay, take your hand and move your shoulder back. Take your hand and move your head over. So I get them to do what I can't do, guiding themselves with their own hands. Or we use straps, or we use block. Today, I don't think you can see because I'm in my studio, but I have over here what's called a rope wall. And those are things that you have these ropes that hang off the wall, and you can use.
We put it on the full screen.
You want me to show? And of course, it looks kind of crazy because I'm trying to mute the sound here. So I put a coat on it. I'm going to take this down. So here is what's called a rope wall, right? And so you hang from that. There's the harness. So things like that, or props that you might normally have in a yoga studio, over the pandemic, people have had to buy straps, buy blocks. You use voice. You use demonstration. I encourage students to go to the wall. I give them examples with each other. I say, well, let's look at what Linda's doing. Linda's doing this, and I'll screen shoot Linda, and she does it. It also creates community, because when people come and chatting in the front, hey, how are you? We missed you last week. Or, oh, it was so good. You did so well on that back bend last Thursday, or like that. So Zoom, as much as I can't touch people, and again, this will be so interesting because when everything shut down, I had to close my physical brick and mortar space, and places like Equinox, the big box studios, they were starting to wind down. And then, you know, even then, if you went back now, you're not supposed to touch people, right? And then you don't want to get in someone's space. So it will be very interesting to see how we get through yoga. And then also, some people are not trained in anatomy, so they're not comfortable to touch or to help move. And then, quite frankly, a lot of people don't want to be touched. So you have to be very careful and say, at the beginning of class, everybody close your eyes. Okay, if you don't want me to touch you, raise your right hand. And then I'm like, okay, so I know that this person, because there's nothing more uncomfortable than someone touching you in a class, and guys, you never have to be touched in a yoga class. Say no. It's not part of it unless you want a physical adjustment.
Yes.
It's so important to have ownership of your own body and your own practice. And don't let a yoga teacher, as much as I do urge people to try things maybe that they have not, it's important to say that I don't really feel comfortable doing that today. But at the same time, just know that, if you're studying with me, it's quite possible the story that Michelle said, she's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, just come over here for a second. Boop, boop. She was in a headstand.
Yeah.
So some of that, but I know her body. She dances, she lifts weights, she's very strong. Okay. So that is a body where if your teacher knows you, that's why it's important to study with one person and let them grow with you into where you want to go. So I know that Michelle had the core to do the headstand. I have worked miracles in Zoom. I've gotten people in crow. I teach in Dallas. This student's in Florida. She'd never done crow. I have gotten people into moving into a back bend. I've gotten people into these poses on Zoom using voice. But it has to be, okay, get out the butter, then get out the sugar. Okay, get your flour, beat the egg. Like it's like making cookies. You have to go step by step, then add the chocolate chips, then make it, so it's literally an instruction manual of how to make yourself into that yoga cookie, so to speak.
I love it. I love it. I always love when you talk like that. And that just reminds me, I was listening earlier and you were talking, giving them a story about the hair. I mean, what were they doing? Were they winding down?
We were winding down. We were in Shavasana, and that was a passage from a great person in the art of mindfulness. It's a book called Wherever You Go, There You Are by John Kabat-Zinn. And that's the section on the part called Interconnectivity. And it just talks about how we are all part of one fabric. So you're not over there in London. You're actually so interwoven with me that you offer me guidance. I've been going through a little bit of a rough time in a breakup, and you offered me such guidance. And that interconnectivity was in the story that I was reading the students while they were coming into Shavasana. Shavasana is called corpse pose. And that's the pose at the end of class where you slow down, close your eyes, and you go internal quiet. You turn up the quiet, so to speak. And this story, it's interconnectedness on page 213. And it's just about how looking deeply into the process, everything is connected. No sunlight, no life. No water, no life. No plants, no photosynthesis. No photosynthesis, no oxygen for animals to breathe. No parents, no you. No trucks, no food in the cities. No manufacturers, no trucks. No steel workers, no steel. Then it talks about this little tiny fox. And he had to go through all of these steps to get his tail back. The fox asked for his tail back. The old woman says, you can have your tail back when you return my milk. So he has to go on a journey. He asks the cow for milk. The cow says, get a pail. The pail has to come from a milkmaid. The milkmaid says, okay, get me some grain. So you give as good as you get, right? It's give and take. You have a gift that is so unique that you were meant to do it. One of mine happened to be yoga, and finding people who honor that and you giving that gift, that woven tapestry of who we are is richer when you are authentic to yourself. And that interconnectivity is where you're not a social vampire. You're not sucking off something. You're not taking energy from someone else, but you're also not letting them take from you.
That's right.
It's a two-way street. So that was the little satsang, which is a talk that I got from the book, and I was sharing that in that meditation class at the end.
Fantastic. So, you know, I've got one more question for you as we're sort of running out of time. I can't believe it. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about being a single woman and the expectations that society pushes on us. I mean, as you mentioned, you know, you've gone through a breakup and you're moving forward and you're doing fabulously well. But being a single woman again, or being a single woman and not being married, let's say it that way, you know, tell me a bit about how you view that.
Well, it seems like, and I will say, I will date myself because Michelle and I grew up looking a lot at Sex and the City.
That's right.
And yeah, and there's this one image where the Brooklyn Bridge, it usually shows the bike lane and the walking lane, but they have changed it to couples, singles. So it's like a segregation, like, oh, you're expecting someone else? No, it's just me. I'm a party of one. So when you are a party of one, you are still contained. You are still with enough internal fortitude that you come at the world as a single woman, and I do think it can be a little bit threatening for people. I know if you're alone, I think sometimes inviting to parties, you know, people will be like, she's single, she didn't bring anybody. It's like she'll be the odd person out. Or you know, Dallas is a city that is much more, people get married early versus New York.
Yeah,
we were just ripping and running. We were just, you know, I knew all of my friends were single and doing the career thing, or newly married and maybe no kids. So I will say that when you live for your own development first, and then you go into a relationship, or then you have kids, it's not selfish. It is self-aware to first build up your identity, your brand, so to speak. So being a single woman and coming back to Dallas, which is very married and very coupled off, people would look at me and say, well, why aren't you married? And I got back this one-liner, and I would always say, I don't know why I'm not married. Just lucky, I guess.
I love that.
And they would be like, you know, you're right. It actually is. I was like, put the mirror to yourself, because you have a piece of broccoli in your tooth right here. Don't look at myself. Don't look at me, because you need to look at yourself first. And that's funny, what people will try and get you to do what they're doing, be it law, be it something that they need affirmation, and you doing it,
Validation.
Validation. And so being a couple is fabulous, being happily married is fabulous, and also being a single person is also fabulous. And it's important to have the complexity of those different viewpoints honored. You know, it's every married person is not happy.
That's right. I've been there.
I remember.
I've been there. Yes, you remember. Oh yeah, it can be a beautiful thing when it's beautiful.
Yes.
But when it's not,
Ooh, no.
We'll just leave it at that. So, you know, I wanted to ask you, is there anything you'd like to impart with the audience before you leave? Anything, you know, that they should be thinking about moving forward? Because now I'm assuming you guys are mostly out of lockdown. We're slowly coming out of lockdown. We're sort of, I think we're 3/4 of the way out of it here in the UK. Anything that you can say about, you know, life going forward?
Let's just see if the audience will chime in. Has anybody had these weird pandemic dreams?
Oh.
Like, I'm dreaming, and I'm in my dream, and I'm like, they don't have on a mask. Like even in my dream, it's in my subconscious, like I have to put on my mask. I have to, or I was in a situation recently with a bunch of people, and this person, they got in so close to me, and I thought, those droplets are coming out of her mouth, and I could like, I basically started to, oh, you're getting too close. You're not social distancing.
Yeah.
So what I would say is let the re-entry be like, if you've ever had a fish, you don't just dump the fish into the new tank. You get the water in the bag that it's in and introduce it so it's the same temperature, and then slowly coats the fish out. So be tender and gentle with yourself as you move from perhaps isolation and out and about. Now, some people are going to be fine tearing off the mask, just going out there. For those people who are a little bit more energetically sensitive, I would say do yoga, meditate. There is something called a pink bubble technique. So you can imagine going out and creating almost a safe space for yourself in which you can move in the world, because you will feel something different when you go out in a big setting, unless you've been on a plane recently, just everything that you took for granted. Yeah. So be gentle with yourself. Take deep breaths. So I would say inhaling and exhaling. So coming into the breath as you move in the world. So when you get into a situation, start to breathe, slow down, and then re-engage. Don't allow the world to come at you so quickly, so abruptly, that you become inundated with the negatives of reentry, because there are so many positives. Like, I can't wait to get to see Michelle and just adjust her again. That's going to be beautiful. But until we get that. Yeah. So just, I would say, be gentle with yourselves as you go back in, and then give yourself some time. Do yoga, do your meditation, perhaps journaling, create that force field, and then just breathe.
Thank you, my love.
Thank you. It's been a treat.
I know that you have a special gift for the people that are listening in tonight. So would you like to share that?
Yes. When you go to my website, it's omyogadiva.com/Zoom, and you have the code Yoga Joy at checkout, and it can just be all one, I think it's all one case, either upper or lower. And please drop in, take a class, hit me up on Instagram, direct message me. I would love to create a class for you, because we are online no matter where you are. I can work with you virtually. There is an assessment that I offer if you have a question about a pose, if you need any help on anything. I would be honored and privileged to see you get stronger and healthier in your bodies.
Fantastic. Well, I will post it in the group, in the Facebook group.
Thank you.
And if anybody can't get to it, just send me a direct message, email me, whichever way, we'll get it to you.
Very good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I can't believe I actually caught up with you. You're so busy teaching, doing this, doing that. So I really lucked out, and I'm so glad you were able to do it. And especially because it's 3:30 your time.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure you moved the class around, so I'm very honored.
Oh, I wouldn't miss it. I mean, the coaching that you gave me, your insight, your ability to both handhold and, what is the word? You instill that self-governance, I think is the word, where we're suddenly, what I was lacking, you came in and said, oh, but did you stick your hand in your right pocket? And I didn't even know that on the sneak, you had put a whole bunch of inspiration in the right pocket, and I just kind of tapped into it. Yeah, you gave it, you downloaded some Michelle Lowe wisdom on me.
You're welcome. No, you're welcome. That's what I do. So it's been a joy and always a pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
we'll be in touch. Thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing.
Namaste.
Stick around in the green room. I'll
I
talk to
will. I will.
you. Okay, my love. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Isn't she amazing? I'm telling you guys, definitely take up her offer for the yoga class. You will not be disappointed. You'll be like, how do I get to Dallas like I did? And flew on a plane and went for a weekend of sessions. So guys, thank you so much. We're almost at an hour. I appreciate you joining us. It's been great. I'm going to chill out and take it easy tonight because tomorrow's the birthday. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do this year because it's still on lockdown, but whatever I do, it'll be pleasant and I'll be happy. I'll have had another day. So from me to you, thank you for joining us. And as always, be joyful, be connected, and shine your light. Good night.